welcome back to my channel again, TorAthena, where today we are reviewing comics! We're not really starting off this new year with a bang. Not that many comics came out last week, although they came out far too late for me to review them, and not that many first issues came out this week either. So let's just dive right in and get started. Luna the Vampire by IDW, written and drawn by Yasmin Sheikh. Basically, this comic is about space being occupied by monsters, and Luna the Vampire is the main protagonist in it. It's a comic strip styled comic book where it's loads of different short stories all based around Luna, and they're all meant to be funny and entertaining. Pros! It's one of them pick up and read comic books. You don't have to invest really your time or financial effort into them, as one comic can just be good enough for while you're on the train ride home. Cons. Unfortunately, as much as I love comedy strip comic books, I feel like there have been a lot better ones out there. This seems to not only rip off Mona the Vampire, but also it seems to be very Roman Dirge-esque, who does my favourite comic book, Lenore. They seem to repeat too many jokes. It's meant to be very off the cuff, a little bit dark and twisted at times, which is fine. I love that. Roman Dirge does it amazingly in Lenore. But in 3 times in this comic, considering there's only like 4 or 5 short stories, she asks for something or she doesn't want something and someone just rams it into her, like whacks it into her, like a postman whacks the parcel into her. She's waiting for a dress to be delivered, someone throws it into her. She doesn't want to hold a pet and they shove it into her. It repeats itself too much, we get it. I've never been one to comment on this because I feel like usually it's too nitpicky, but the font isn't great. The font layout and placement and choice is not great. It's hard to read, it's hard to know where it's going. It distracts your flow of the story. The art isn't really a type of art I like. Usually I accept it when it goes hand in hand with good content. The art style shouldn't be the be-all and end-all of a comic. It should be 50% of it. And if the other 50% is a very good message or a really good narrative, then you suspend belief when it comes to your favourite preference of art. When the narrative and the text isn't good, then you notice when the art is bad. Overall, unless you're looking for a cheap thrill, I would stay away from this comic really. I just think there are better comics out there. I did laugh at some of the stories in this, but if I was only going to pick one comic series, I'd recommend Lenore. Leaving Megalopolis, Surviving Megalopolis. Say that 20 times in a row. Basically, this is like season 2 to the Kickstarter hit Leaving Megalopolis, where the superheroes have gone rogue and end up killing loads of citizens. I don't really know why, unfortunately. I never read the original. This issue basically tells the story of reluctant civilians going back for a search and rescue into this now abandoned town. Pros! It's a great thought and idea process. It sounds really original and really interesting. The art, I loved. It's detailed, it's classic comic book themed, it's animated while being realistic and detailed. I really liked it. Con. The only real con is I feel like you really did need to read the original series. I read this and I was able to follow along what was going on in this particular issue, but I didn't actually know what was going on. I didn't know why anything was happening, or I did feel lost. And then I researched the comic and realised, oh, there was an original series to this. Poop. Da-da-da-da! And my pick of the week is Legend of Wonder Woman by DC Comics. This is a 9-issue miniseries written by Renee D. and also drawn by Renee D. and Ray Dillon. This follows the mythological stories behind Wonder Woman, her childhood, and her parents, or mother. And on the island where she lives, she knows it's unwell and she needs to learn how to fight. But princesses don't fight. Pros! Out of all the comics I've read this week, the art was my favourite in this. It was very similar to the Megalopolis one, but it was just beautiful. I've always, ever since I was a kid, I've always loved looking at Disney princesses and pretty girls with long flowing hair. Who doesn't? And this comic is pretty much filled with Greek beauties with beautiful hair and really nice colours and lighting, and it's just brilliant. I just loved it. I love the look, I love the feel of this comic. I love the mythology in this story, and they have gone heavy with it, as they should, and I'm really glad they have. You don't really get introduced to Wonder Woman until about halfway, 3/4 of the way through this first issue. They are setting everything up so you know exactly what's happening, why it's happening, and anyone who loves mythology or history or anything like that will enjoy this comic. It's written so well that you can relate or at least connect to a lot of the characters introduced in the first issue, not just Wonder Woman. Cons. The only real con about this comic was that there were adverts placed in between the stories, as DC and Marvel do. However, I enjoyed this story so much, it's probably the least amount I've ever noticed a comic advertised in DC issues. But they were still there, so con. Overall, it's only a mini-series, so you're not invested for the foreseeable future. It's 9 issues, it's well worth the read so far. I'm definitely picking up the next issue to see where it goes. Well, that's it! That's a comic review, the first one this year. I hope you enjoyed it. I can't believe how much I've missed doing it. I have been trying to read comics and read them, and every time I've been reading them or looking at them, I've wanted to talk to you, because that's one of the biggest reasons why I did this, is because I have an opinion about everything, and I wanted to voice it out, but discuss comics, because I hardly ever actually get to discuss comics. And then today's finally arrived, and I'm like, yes, I'm doing comic book reviews! And I'm so tired, and I've got a headache, and I just want to go to bed. It's always the way, isn't it? But yeah, did any of those comics apply to you? Do you think you're going to pick up any? Have you already picked them up? Have you read them? What do you think? My head is killing me. I have such a bad headache. So I'm going to wrap this up very quickly, but thank you so much for watching. I hope you're glad that the comic book review videos are back, because I am. And I will see you very soon. Take care. Bye bye.